Then there's a window broken in the towers where the lawyers and the DA assistants work.
People are mad.
Do you think there's a reason those windows are broken? Or did somebody just randomly decide to go pick on
Of all buildings.
all the buildings?
Yeah.
Just shoot one window out in the courthouse, shoot one out at the bank, shoot one out at the towers, and just randomly shoot windows out?
No, it's not random.
Or were they sledgehammered? I don't know, because I wasn't there. But nobody down at the courthouse, I should say this, nobody down in the courthouse wants to tell you why, how, and when those windows got broken. I know they weren't broken last time I came from Santa Barbara County to Orange County, but they're broken now. And I see Homeland Security cars parked all around. Do you think that's just because the judges are doing such a good job, like Commissioner
Loehe.
and what's her name, Christina Bauer or Kathleen Bauer?
Oh, Catherine Bauer, she's at the Fed court,
Yeah.
working as a debt collector from the bench.
Yeah. Violating the law every time she sits on the bench, ignoring the Consumer Protection Act, ignoring the fact you can't collect a house for a debt unpaid.
Exactly, but you know, I'm unfamiliar with the Consumer Protection Act. I'm not familiar with it, but I can
Anything
tell
else you want to tell me about Silverstein?
Well, I
Because
can,
I gotta go.
okay, yeah, you should probably cover me a little bit regarding Silverstein as far as what happened with me. So, my house has a contract on it with America's Wholesale Lender, which does not exist. It never was formed or registered in California or in New York. My deed of trust says that it was formed in New York, and it was not. The Secretary of State says nothing exists. The Franchise Tax Board says nothing exists. Consequently, the four elements of a contract don't exist. The party has to consent to a contract.
Competent parties.
Yeah, competent parties. There has to, see if I'm remembering this, okay, also they have to say consent.
Consideration.
Oh, well, consideration, and it has to be for a lawful purpose.
exchange.
Be used for a lawful purpose as well, and I'm missing some other important
And
one.
the parties must be legally competent.
Is that all four of them? Did I cover them? Right, competent
An
parties,
exchange of goods or service
right.
must be knowingly and willingly.
Willingly,
Yeah.
yes. Right. So can a trademark do that? A trademark is kind of like the Disneyland sign or like the Nike
McDonald's.
the Thunderbolt, a name. That's a trademark. So they used a trademark in order to, that was the lender on my contract. So it's void from inception. And consequently, a foreclosure is based on the validity of the deed of trust. Well, if mine was void from inception, these people had nothing to buy. Silverstein, what happened is I filed an affidavit on my house explaining all the illegalities, the fact that I rescinded the contract because the debt collectors did not want to answer me. I had a right to know, where has my money been going? Has it been going to a drug dealer? Where has it been going? I had a right to know and deserved to know, but they chose not to tell me where my money was going. So I thought I was going to file a quiet title. Hired Charles Marshall to be my attorney on August 13, 2015. He sent out another debt validation letter, which is equivalent to an injunction, a cease and desist. And the debt collector has an obligation to answer that and to cease all collection process. Well, John Duncan, Pike Duncan, he owns another company called Clear Recon. He held the illegal auction, on August 18th. And all of the people that came out to the auction were just all Silverstein rig buyers, and that's it. They were all.
So that's how Silverstein came into the picture.
With me. Yeah, I'm battling him in the UD court. He's trying to kick me out of my house based on unperfected title. And Luigi is one of the judges, and also Stafford. They're all golf partners.
They don't have the authorization to handle your case in that division. The statute says they can't do it.
Right.
They're stealing your house. They're stealing your house.
Yeah, well, they're stealing a lot of houses.
1161.
You have any other specific wrongdoing by Silverstein that
Well,
we
I
should
do.
take note of?
Well, let me-
Anything else?
It's just the entire relationship between him and the civil limited judges and jurists.
Have you seen them exchange cash envelopes?
I haven't.
Have you?
No, I have not, but maybe we should just state a little bit of things that what he's done to me. I'm just gonna name a few, not everything, because there's a lot. One of the items is that I got served paperwork on August 30th. They stuffed paperwork in my screen door.
Which isn't not legal. They did the same thing with my case.
Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah, so essentially, growing up with my dad, going to court with him, I know just the basics. I'm not an attorney, but I know the basics. So I know that
Because your father was a police officer.
he was a prominent investigator for Tustin, Santa Ana, and the Orange County DA's office, yes. So essentially, I knew that the proper action for me was a motion to quash, which is for improper service. So what I did all day September 3rd is I was in the back of that room, door shut, working on my motion to quash. I took it to the court, and I met up with this clerk who was just in a real bad mood. It was 3:45. She says, I can't take this paper. If I take it, it's not gonna be processed until the next day. So she took it, took my check, stamped everything. And so I thought, I really want to have today's date on it. Okay, so she lied to me, and she says, no, you can do it electronically. So I took my paper back, did it electronically at home, but I was having problems with the system. I was using ICANN. And I found out from the IT director the following day that many people were having problems with it. So when I exited out of the program, what happened is that the system erroneously sent an incomplete answer, which was never my action, but due to the malfunctioning, it sent an incomplete answer over to the court. And Silverstein had a party, woohoo! I'm jumping on this one. So he met with his process server, Zach Pizzacco, who is notorious for improper gutter service. And Silverstein headed up, he says, hey, Pizzacco, let's lie and say that we went to Valerie's house on September 3rd at 7:30 in the morning, and essentially we'll say that we served her. So I'll have one of my people sign it and in the office for you. And that's what they did, because Steve and I were comparing the signatures of the proof of service with Pizzacco's actual signature.
They did the same sewer service, it's called. They did the same thing in our case. The defendant the defendant disclosed that he had been served I think it was 10 days after he got his 3-day notice, 10 days after the papers were filed. The complaint was filed. So I know what you're saying.
Right.
And I believe what you're saying in your case. I believe what you're saying, but your strongest argument is going to be something that is not open to any interpretation.
Got it.
It's not open to interpretation. What you're saying, I know Steve Silverstein. I know he did that.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you what you can prove. And what you can prove is that they never had the authority to make that decision in that venue.
Got it.
They didn't have the authority. That's undebatable.
And that's according to which code and which?
1161.
1161 of
I believe it's CPC.
California Rules of Civil
I
Procedure?
believe it's CRC. One of the two. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But it's the statute that states that civil limited is a summary proceeding. There's only one thing that can be determined, and that is possession. They can't consider complex issues of title. They can't consider complex issues involving contracts. They don't have the authority. That's a different venue.
Okay.
And they
Anything
do it.
else?
But one of the things, though, is that what we need to establish, though, is that when they put the foreclosure under that umbrella back in 1968, I think, what they did establish is that, sure, possession is fine, but, with a big but, you have to make sure that there is a duly perfected title.
Exactly.
That there's no shenanigans.
Exactly.
Such as debt collectors
What
filing
they're
assignments
using-
of deed of trust.
What Silverstein is doing with Loewe is they're circumventing the requirements by having her determine these cases in her division where she's not allowed to
Or
consider.
Stafford, 'cause Stafford's
Exactly.
doing it.
Well, they're all the same. Them and,
Yeah.
and Cramen as well.
Yeah, Cramen as well.
We had that same problem with Cramen. Cramen actually, in the third unlawful detainer, Cramen quoted Loewe in his minute order awarding the decision to the drug dealing defendant. He quoted her. He cut and pasted part of her minute order in his minute order. So it just gets more and more absurd.
Okay.
really does.
Steve, do I have your permission to publish this on television, YouTube, and other
That's
things?
fine.
Valerie Lopez, do I have your permission to publish this?
Yeah, I do. You know, can I just say one more thing, just really quickly concerning, just because I think
Okay.
this is just a riot concerning up to the testimony of the process server. But I get Steve and I get his point, and I'm glad he's here to focus on what I need to do to keep my house. So essentially, Silverstein told this process server to lie concerning serving me on September 3rd. Okay, when we got the declaration, it said to the effect, yeah, I went to Valerie's house and I stood by the door at 7:30 in the morning, and she was sitting at the chair, at the table, and she was 155 to 165 pounds, Hispanic with black and gray white hair, and I asked her, are you Valerie Lopez? Yes, I am. Are you Valerie Lopez? Yes, I am. Oh, well, you're served. Oh, well, I can't get up right now, so just stuff it in the door because I can't get up right now. So he stood on, when we had the motion to quash hearing, I hired an attorney, a criminal litigator, and we exposed him. He lied. He said, please describe Valerie. He says, well, this is what I saw according to my declaration. I put everything on there, the short lady, Hispanic lady. Oh, well, let me introduce you. This is Valerie Lopez. Does she look like the person that you served? So anyway,
Obviously you lied.
yeah, but this is Silverstein mode. I mean, I could go on and on.
How do you spell this process server's name?
It's Zach, Z-A-C, and then Pazako, P-A-S-Z-K-O.
I think he's Polish. I think
Yeah.
he sounds like Polish.
Yeah, and he actually was caught, Steve and I were talking about it, he was actually caught stealing from his employer back in 1998, but the case was dismissed, but he was caught stealing.
Was his
business
employer an
property.
attorney?
No, it was a messenger service. He was
Oh.
caught stealing company property, and it was an unlimited case, and it was dismissed, and so unfortunately I can't use it, but he's moved up from stealing business property to stealing houses. Zach Pazaka.
Well, thank you, Steve. Thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but really your strongest argument is gonna be on.
Well, you heard it here and you heard it here first.
It's,
I don't know what to tell you, but that's what they said. You can look up the case number, believe it or not believe it. I wonder what Mr. Silverstein will tell me, if he'll tell me anything. William Wagner from Orange County. Back to the studio. William Wagner here down in the city of Orange in Orange County. I'm here at Valerie Lopez's house, who's been fighting this foreclosure fraud issue for years, and she's still in her house. She's got a way she thinks that will change it. Hi, Valerie.
Oh, hi, William. How are you?
Okay.
William, I'm glad that you came to my house today, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to tell everybody about the Fair Debt Practices Credit Act collections, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, excuse me. It's a law that was enacted in 1977. And the reason why this law came into place is because there is an industry called the debt collection industry. And it's a very, very dark industry. It's very abusive. It causes a lot of atrocities, and it's an area that needed strict laws. Back in 1977, even the congressmen and women were being abused by debt collectors as well. So Congress gave us this law, and I believe in I know that it's our safe haven. And anybody that doesn't believe me, I suggest that they look at Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which is our new police on the beat. Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is the new police on the beat. Prior to the creation of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, there was no police on the beat, and that's why our economy is such a mess, and that's why we have all these illegal foreclosures, and why there's about 20 million families that have been displaced, that are homeless. And in Hawaii, I know for a fact that we have a state of emergency due to the extensive amount of homelessness, and that's all caused by the debt collectors who are illegally taking these homes. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is a set of laws that govern what debt collectors can do and cannot do. What we have here are people that are purporting to be lenders, servicers, of lawful creditors, and they're not. They have the name debt collector for a specific reason. They're collecting on bad debt. And I would suggest that everybody get this book here, Fighting the Foreclosure Machine, because this book explains why these people that are taking our homes do not have standing capacity or authority to be taking our homes. So it's very important. You read this book, which will tell you why they have the name debt collectors. And if you look at any of the paperwork that they send you, anything that a debt collector sends you is called a dunning letter. It's not a statement. For instance, I have one here from Green Tree. This is not a statement. It looks like a statement, but it's actually a dunning letter. Anything. And if you look at any of their letters, it says, "We are a debt collector." And they're even more so a very strong debt collector in the case that they take your account when you stop making your payment. And usually people stop making their payment when they see illegalities. One of the illegalities would be an assignment of deed of trust. An assignment of deed of trust is for creditors, not debt collectors. Very important for people to understand. It's for creditors, not debt collectors. So the moment that you see a debt collector filing an assignment, you know that there's some illegalities going on. And so based on the Uniform Commercial Code 3501, it states that if you see any illegalities, then you can't stop paying until they provide you all the accounting loan data from the original lender all the way to the current debt collector. And it has to show that they have paid full value for this alleged full lawful package. And they will never give it to you because they know that they paid pennies on the dollar for this debt, okay? So essentially, so now you know you have to get this book. It's very important. Also, Dave Krieger's book, Clouded Title, as well, is a great book to get as well.
That's by Robert
James.
James.
He's a great guy. He has a great website. I suggest that you go on there just because he is constantly always updating his website. Just a fabulous individual who's contributed to help us turn things around. Now, what I'd like to do is go talk again about the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. It's the first time in American history that we have the welding of all three branches of our government, executive, legislative, and judicial, give this agency very extensive amount of power. Not even the President of the United States can fire the director, because he has a job to do, and that is to establish just a cleansing of what's going on in our courts and just in our banking industry as well, and with getting these debt collectors underhand. Since the creation of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, they have collected about $2 trillion. Now, the process that they're getting that $2 trillion is not the standard way of going into court, going into interrogatories, discovery, going on and on for 5 years, waiting for the black robe people to make a decision so you have case law. No, that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're exercising what's called the administrative enforcement rights. Administrative enforcement rights, which are granted to us, not only the CFPB, but up to the people in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act.
Okay. Just nod your head. Got that book again? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Well, welcome to the show. I'm William Wagner, live here in the studio with some footage from right now at the Veterans Hall. But first I want to tell you what you just saw, that Steve had that video is being used today as a report to the Orange County Sheriff's deputies to have Attorney Silverstein arrested for falsely making a false and fraudulent statement on documents used in the process of an unlawful detainer based on a fraudulent foreclosure. that's going on right now, today, in Orange County. Well, we're here in Santa Maria in the beautiful county of Santa Barbara, and now I take you to our live footage right at the Veterans Hall in Santa Maria, and Michael Clayton is passing out the good food, and any veteran in his family is welcome to go down there and get a free hot meal right now.
But Ron and someone else wanted to go to
Do you have any Korean or World War II? Korean or World War II? Come with me.
How you doing, Ken, sir?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Happy Veterans Day to you.
Yes,
Air Force, if I'm not mistaken.
Army.
See, told you.
Army, but I wish I'd gone Air Force.
I'm glad I stayed Air Force. I was fortunate enough to retire 21 years. And now I'm serving as a commander of the American Legion and commander of the Disabled American Veterans in a different way. But I'm still serving veterans, and I hope to as long as I can.
Yeah, I missed all the speeches.
I know you missed me speaking.
I know. You're going to have to come to the studio and give us another
I'm
one.
hoping to go there next week.
Good.
I need to do a holiday message.
Isn't the jet supposed to fly over right now?
I thought it should have done a half hour ago. I don't know where it is. You know, the traffic in the sky. I didn't get out there. There's a lot of traffic out there.
Well, is the food good inside? Did you check yet?
Hey, there he is. He hit the bread. Huh?
The bread for me.
There it is. That's enough. It's good stuff. Make sure everyone gets a piece of the action. There's a lot
I got two shut-in veterans. I'd like to take some meals to them.
Yeah?
If I could squeeze it in.
Hey, I can't squeeze in, and I work here. I think I'm at the end of the line. It's actually cargo transport. Beautiful.
No, it doesn't look like
Nope,
the
that's
one.
not the one. Oh, we can make it look like a jet.
And the line goes around the corner. Free food for veterans today, November 11th, 2015.
It's because I'm into it and
So everybody copied you?
I wonder when they
What unit were you in?
1953 to 1957.
Korea?
Well, I was in the Air Force.
Air Force.
Park right over there.
It's under the Korean War.
What squadron were you attached to?
It's been too long.
You forgot
I was
already.
stationed at Castle Air Force Base.
At which Air Force base?
Castle.
Castle.
It doesn't exist anymore.
No, yeah, a lot of them don't exist anymore. Pretty soon we won't exist anymore.
I started out at San Antonio, and then Keesler Air Force Base, and then Castle. Then I went to TUI.
Well, the food's always good. It's going to be worth waiting in line for.
He used to have it at his business, and it's just down the street from mine.
Right.
And I got acquainted with him before he had it. He always told me to come down there.
Well, it's a good time. Sir, what unit were you in?
I was a combat engineer,
Combat engineer.
3rd Battalion.
1st Battalion.
Third.
What years?
1972 to 76.
I was in combat engineers also in 1968, 69.
Marines or Army?
Vietnam, Army.
I caught the tail end of Vietnam in evacuation.
Yeah, that was.
17 years old.
You were 17 then.
So back
Did you
then,
get it? Did you get enough action? Did you get what you wanted?
No, I wanted more, but you know, I did what I had to do. You know. So I
Okay.
did.
Well, you'll enjoy the food.
Thank you.
Everything we did out of Roper. 35, 141. Every now and again, we just one airplane that really hated it.
You see the playground there?
Every year, Michael Clayton puts this on. People donate the food, and it's free food for veterans here in Santa Maria. I'm a veteran too of Vietnam. Let's see what this guy was.
Oh, we all get short. Oh.
What unit were you in, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm not even sure.
You're not even sure? What were unit you in?
59 to 61.
59 to 61. Army, Navy, Air Force?
Army. I was in Germany most
Germany.
of the time.
Oh, you lucky guy.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
I was in Vietnam. Not so nice.
Oh.
Okay, enjoy the food.
Thank you.
You look over.
Hey, Eddie.
No. Take her. Okay.
Just wait a second, you. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I can take it. I just want more. So, come over here.
Thank you. I'll need it.
Add to the cheek.
These are your plans.
What have you been doing? Haven't seen you in a long time.
I've been working.
I haven't seen the TV show. I moved.
Where'd you move to?
What's wrong?
Herman Abelow.
Herman Abelow. Navy veteran, what ship?
No, not the
Can't remember anymore.
I got a memory problem.
That's a destroyer. You're on USS
Hale.
Hale. Very good. Thank you for your service.